I've heard it said on several occasions that faith is a team sport, and every time I hear that, that's a helpful reminder to me. So much of our society is individualistic. So as American Christians, that bleeds into our faith life in ways that I think are rather unscriptural. A benefit of going to seminary in the South is that when we translate Greek, we have a second person plural pronoun to put in place of all the second person plural pronouns that are in the scriptures. And so when we translate those, we say y'all, and it turns out that the New Testament is almost always saying y'all do these kinds of things, y'all live in these kinds of ways. It's almost never you do it. And so forgiveness, like faith, is a team sport. It's something that we have to do together for many reasons. First, because that's how God tends to work with us, is as a communion, as a community, but also because it may or may not make sense for the victim of certain wrongs to be the one that has to bear the brunt of stewarding forgiveness. It may be that the community surrounding that person can do that work in ways that are meaningful and lessen the burden from someone who's already been through so much. None of this is easy. Forgiveness is required because harm and wrongs are real and in many cases devastating. It may or may not make sense for two people who have experienced significant fracture or wrong one to another. It may not make sense for them to come together in exactly the way that they had been before. It may be that within the context of a communion, of a community, we can find meaningful ways for both of these folks to have a seat at Christ's table. But their particular personal relationship may take a much different shape than it did before. That would be appropriate and even good. So we need to remember that this is done in community. It is not your burden. If you are someone having a hard time forgiving someone else, it's not your burden to figure out how to muster the mercy and grace, right? Again, it's God's doing. It's not even something you have to be the primary bearer of. You can lean into your community. You also have community to talk with and to process as you wrestle for yourself with what it means to steward God's forgiveness appropriately from your perspective. So forgiveness is a team sport, and it really is, it is a calling card of Christian community here as we round out this season of Lent, as we approach Holy Week together. It's a calling card of Christian community, and what it defines about us is twofold. One, that we take sin seriously. Forgiveness means no. And then that we take grace even more seriously. We believe that God's grace is the most powerful force in the world, even as we see so many forces in this world that are obviously powerful, that obviously defy God's will for us. We stake our claim on grace. So forgiveness means yes to that. So we take sin seriously, but we take God's grace even more seriously. It's a gift to be people rooted in this. It's a gift to be that people together with you. I'm grateful for walking with you through Lent as we've just had some touchstones on forgiveness, and I hope maybe this can spark further conversation, not only as we round out this season, but as we continue to live together as a forgiven and forgiving people here at Good Shepherd.